Hey guys, welcome back to
Real Love Scenario. Woo, woo, woo.
Shout out to all our real lovers out there. We back with another episode.
Hi.
What up, guys?
Welcome back.
Shout out to the real lovers.
Shout out to all the real love we've been receiving.
Yes, we have.
Lots of love. We
Lots
love
of
the
love.
love. I love it.
I hope y'all watched the last episode with Ty. That was a really good one.
So many gems.
Talking about just grief and growth and loving through loss, and it was a lot of good stuff.
It was really good. And someone had said like they were really happy to see us talking about this. Like almost like I think she said, I've been waiting for this topic. Because grief is an important part of the love experience.
It is.
You know, it is grief associated to loss specifically. We're all gonna die, as my grandmother once said. And so hearing about it on one side with her mom actually passing, but then the process of grieving someone who's alive.
Yeah.
That was probably like my favorite part, because I do think that helps you to grieve relationships. You know, the person isn't dead, but it's still a process. So that was my favorite part. So if you haven't watched it, clearly you need to, because it was great. The folks are loving it.
Yeah.
Yes.
And if you haven't watched it, it's probably because you didn't get the notification because you weren't subscribed. So make sure that you subscribe to the channel. It really means a lot to us. And it also is beneficial for you. It'll help you, get all the gems, all the different guests, all the different conversations that we talk about on this channel. And it could help you in your relationship in some way, shape, or form.
Yes. And we are begging. If that's what you think this is, we are
begging.
I'm telling you. And if you watch lots of YouTube, like y'all, lots of YouTubers, we all say it because it is important. It is important for us. It's important for you, obviously, but it is important for us. We want to get our message and how we do things and how we approach relationships out there. And if you don't like the toxic stuff,
welcome.
We are here for you. So that's why we need this to bubble up, to be the cream of the crop.
For sure.
Yeah.
For
so
sure.
thank
Very
you.
well said, Rhonda.
Yeah.
How are you doing today? I mean, it's summertime.
Yeah.
I always tell people on the East Coast we only get a limited amount of months, to.
Damn, I know y'all know whose song that is.
You got
a
the
little
summertime colors on.
I do. I'm good. I'm loving the weather. Feeling the vibes. It's been good.
Good.
Yeah. How about you?
Same. I'm loving it. Doing some traveling. Brie and I, a lot of people know because y'all get updated with stuff probably a day after I do if you follow my wife on what's going on with our lives on social media. But we're, getting into family planning in the fall. So like just kind of enjoying the summer. So yeah, it's really good.
Summer's about to look different.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. That's good stuff. So
and
mature.
I went to this they ain't paying us or nothing, but Bad Boys 4.
Yes, I'm gonna see it tomorrow. I'm so excited.
It was, if I had to rank the movies, I would go 2 because 2 is just a classic to me.
Yeah.
But then 4 would be second.
Really?
Yeah.
That is okay. Okay.
Because I like 1 too.
Yeah, no, Bad Boys is like
3
my
was
favorite movie other than Dirty Dancing.
Yeah.
It's like those are I know they're so different.
Yeah.
But Bad Boys 1 and 2, like I could watch them 100 times over. I have watched them so many times. 2 and 1 are my favorites. The last one was definitely not my favorite. No. And now everyone's saying that this is almost like we could have skipped the last one and just done this one.
Yeah,
yes.
Martin was ready. Like just everything was where it needed to be. If I had it, 1 is, was good.
Yes.
1 was good and 4 was good. But 2 is like, for me, that's the best.
That's the best one. That's
for
the
sure.
best one. Yeah.
But go check it out. It's a great summertime
excited.
movie, and we don't get movies like that no more because everything a little watered down. Back in the day, it was only a certain amount of movies that hit theaters, so they had to be like on
everything.
Point.
Yeah.
But now it's just we watch so much stuff,
down.
and it's just kind of like watered down.
Yeah.
It's like this thing was okay, or this was cool, but.
I'm loving all the press run stuff.
Yeah,
their chemistry is just crazy good.
It is.
I'm excited. I'm glad to hear another wonderful review.
Yeah. And speaking of reviews, I like that.
Ain't even mean it.
That's segue. Yeah, we good at this. This is our real lover review, and this is from Cyrell, right?
Yes.
Yes. This is your friend of yours, right?
Be friendly. Very, very friendly, yes.
And it's a real lover, so I mean.
Absolutely, that's for sure. I adore her. From we're not close, so that's why I was like, no, but she's so dope. We've talked many a times. She follows the show, and I love her just approach to life and just joy. Even the sunflowers in her review is very reflective of like her personality. So she's amazing.
We appreciate you so much, real lover.
Yes.
She said, so dope, 5 stars. I just watched on YouTube the most recent podcast with Crystal. OMG, so good. So relatable. The guests y'all have on, I love their honesty, openness, and vulnerability. It's refreshing. It's refreshing to know that we are all still growing and learning through this thing called love and life.
Yes, Sunflowers. I love it. Thank you.
We appreciate you.
And she also sent me a video. She was like, I can't even explain this like in writing, so I'm just sending you a video just to say thank you for like the way that you and Dre approach so much and how you handle your guests, and it's clear that you do research. So thank you for the love in the review, but thank you for the love outside of the review.
We appreciate that.
Yeah.
All right, Rhonda, what we got next in our real life love scenario?
Quite the hot topic to talk about today, because woo Lord, some of y'all was real excited. This was it last week or week before last?
It was last week. I think it was last week.
Where Apple announced the new features for their upcoming iOS 18, and some are very worried that it will allow their partners to cheat easily. So part of the update, it includes that users can now lock an app for additional privacy. They can also hide the app, moving it to a locked hidden apps folder. And when an app is locked or hidden, content like messages or emails inside of that app, they're hidden from search, notifications, and other places across the entire system. And so some folks are not feeling Apple's vision into creating these privacy features because they feel like it's helping people cheat better.
Huh. You want to hear my thoughts on that?
I do.
Well, there's an ongoing battle between the unfaithful and the faithful, right? To the people that do stuff wrong and the people who do stuff right. It's always an ongoing battle. And really, technology has really hurt the cause for the unfaithful. And for the people who do wrong. Security cameras, location tracking, all these things. Well, listen, today, with this update, the unfaithful got a little leg up.
They do.
They and for the hot girls and hot boys, especially the hot boys, I mean, these are some great features for you. You can schedule text messages now. Your good mornings, you can make sure all those are lined up the way they need to be. You can lock an extra layer of security. Ooh, I left my phone open. Hey, you still got to get into the messages. Or get into the email, right? So that's another thing. And then they start coming out with male birth control. I read an article that they getting that just right.
About time for that. About time for that.
Right, okay. Like, I'll take that one.
Y'all need
it. So everything is kind of, the hot boy, hot girls, whoever's in that lane. They getting a leg up. But I want to tell y'all, and I think Rhonda would agree.
Probably.
Newsflash. For the people who are cheating, this ain't gonna like this. They already gonna cheat, whether this was in place or not. They was gonna cheat regardless.
Yes, this isn't creating new cheaters.
This isn't creating new cheaters. What it is gonna make it a lot harder for you
to catch it.
Yes. But honestly, I'm fine with it.
Me too.
Because I'm like, too many people be worrying about what their person is doing anyways.
Yes. Yes. Listen.
I guarantee you, before you say that, the people that's really good at it and good at hiding it, they ain't need this.
Nope.
They ain't got the number in their phone under the person's name. They ain't like the people that's really good at it. They ain't need this.
No.
And they still probably don't trust it. They probably still ain't gonna put the stuff in there behind it. They got their own system, so it ain't really changing nothing, in my opinion.
Not to me either. And I think like when I heard about it, my mind didn't even go to cheating. Like, and it's probably just because that's like not a thing for me. Anymore, because I have been there, but it's just like, if by the time you decide to go looking in a phone, now it's all behind a lock screen or a hidden app, you probably already have a really good idea that your person is cheating on you.
Yeah.
If you went to go searching in that phone, you probably already saw something in a different behavior. Maybe it's really how they're acting. It could be something else that led you to the phone. I have never just been sitting on the couch. Things are really great in the relationship. I feel like I can trust this person. I can tell that they trust me. Things are popping. And he get up and go to the bathroom, his phone's there, and I'm like, I've never thought to do that unless there was something going on beforehand.
Yeah.
That's like, I can't wait till he go to this damn bathroom so I can get in his phone. That's the only time when I already suspected that he was cheating. And so going and checking messages and reading messages, it's just like, anything that God has for me, whether that's tangibles or intangibles, it's going to come to me. My mother taught me that. She used to use that when we were kids. Like, you think you hide stuff, the Lord gonna show it to me when it's time for him to show it to me. I believe that if I am really not supposed to be with you because you're a cheater, I'm not gonna have to go on your phone to get it. It's gonna come to me. It's gonna come to me. So it makes me know, never mind. I honestly thought it more so for people who share their phones with their kids.
That's what the article or what Apple said they did it for.
Yeah.
I didn't realize the whole kids be ordering stuff from Amazon.
Crazy.
Like, even with the Alexas, I heard they be like, hey, I ain't gonna say it, but like, and they just be ordering stuff.
Yes,
off of it.
Absolutely. Like, it's just a lot. Or you are an adult, so you may do things that adults do on their phones.
Yeah.
But your child is a child, so when it's time for them to have the phone, you want to put things behind things. Like, you could be married and have some nudes in there that you send to their daddy. You don't need them seeing that.
Nope.
Like, you're not cheating or anything. You know what I mean? It's just like when he got that phone, he gets busy. He takes pictures. So that's what I thought about. I also just thought about people who might share phones with just other people in their lives. Like, I'm handing you my phone to like read something. I may not want, because just an hour ago, again, I was having a little spicy conversation and a response could be coming through
and it's
while
like,
you're
whoa.
looking for something. I don't need that. So my mind went there because I'm not I don't have a cheating mindset. I don't have a cheating spirit. And so I feel bad for people who are so up in arms about this and trying to fight Apple about it, but it makes me never mind.
Yeah, I don't care.
Yeah,
I like what you said though. I think that this is just so true that people who have that mindset and already geared towards like, this is what I'm going to do, they're going to do it, and you're going to be able to notice it.
Yeah.
It's very hard to be fake with somebody you're in constant relationship with for an extended amount of time.
Yeah.
Like, something gonna slip through the cracks, something gonna be noticed. Like, you're gonna notice a change in your person.
Yeah.
Now, how you choose to continue that investigation, that's on you, and that may make it a little harder there.
Yeah.
But relationships are enough work as it is when two people are faithful and love each other. Adding the stress of like what they're doing every second that they're not with you, I never got the appeal of that. And I just wouldn't be with somebody who I felt like I had to do that with.
Yeah, same. So, sorry guys if you're up in arms about it, but relax, relate, release. You'll be fine. All right, well, let's jump into our real love scenario. This week, we hear from Mrs. Groomzilla, and she says, my fiance and I are planning our wedding, and the one and only thing we can't agree on is the size. He wants a big wedding with 175 guests, and I want a small and intimate wedding with 25 guests. We fight about it constantly. I can't envision myself walking down the aisle with a bunch of people. The thought of it makes me so uncomfortable, but when I think about the alternative, about him not getting what he wants, it breaks my heart. He comes from a big Mexican family and nobody has been married for a while, so everyone is so thrilled that there is going to be a wedding, but he doesn't even keep in touch with his family or have a close relationship with them. I come from a small family and I'm very shy and I don't like to be the center of attention. I also believe you should only have people at your wedding who are going to be there to support the couple when times get hard in the marriage, encourage and lift up in prayer. I don't really adopt the mindset that just because we are family, you have to be invited. Am I wrong? Thank you, Mrs. Groomzilla.
Thank you for writing in. And welcome to marriage. The first of many decisions and compromises that you guys are going to have to work through. So this is great because this is only the beginning.
A little pre-work.
It's the pre-work. This is what the relationship will be for the next 40, 50, 60 years.
Yeah.
This is what it's made of.
You
it's
are
gonna be
here.
bigger ones or small ones, but this is what it is. So welcome.
Yeah.
Initiation. This is your initiation into the gang.
Yeah.
Oh man. Nah, I love where you want to start, Rhonda.
I want to start with what I think some people would say. Some people would see this as a red flag. Like, oh my gosh, like you're fighting, get like you're not even married yet and you can't even agree on something. And some people like this, maybe you shouldn't be getting married. I think some people would see it this way. So I think we should start with just talking about how common it is that during this particular time, getting ready for a wedding can cause conflict. And I feel like we have a resident expert here that could probably speak to some, maybe it was a little conflict when you were getting ready to get married, like wedding planning.
Yeah.
It causes conflict, and not just with the couple. Sometimes you just have conflict with other people because it's like, it's a stressful time. It can be a stressful time. So did you have experiences with this where it was like,
absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's not, I always like to look at things, and I used to break this down to Bree early in our relationship, but she never got it because she doesn't think in the same way that I do. Very smart, very intelligent, very critical, but we think differently, right? And some things you could look at the situation, but then you could just look at the general principle. Like we all are going to go through conflict in our relationships. We're all going to be at points to where I want something and you want something completely different. And we have to figure out how to compromise and make that work.
Yeah.
Now, what intensifies that is what thing we're actually trying to compromise on. If it's where to eat, that might be a little bit lower. But if we're talking about spending $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 on an event, then that is a lot more, a larger conversation that we're having.
Yeah.
And it's a more intense conversation. But yeah, we definitely had that. And for me, I know we're going to talk about like how to work through conflict.
Yes.
And that's a big thing, and how to compromise.
Yeah.
But a lot of people don't know, like we had a destination wedding. It was beautiful. It was great. I loved it. The best trip of my life, like up to this point. Guess who didn't want to have a destination wedding in the beginning? Me?
Yeah.
I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to do it.
And why didn't you want to do it?
Because I had this vision in my mind of like my nieces running around and being able to come and, you know, doing all these things. Bree didn't want kids at her wedding. She wanted it to be fun, like a turn up, friends, like, and be at this magical place. Two different ways of looking at things.
Yeah.
But we had to figure out a way to come together and make it make sense. And that was just only one, that was just the venue and area that, no, not even the venue, the concept of what our wedding would be.
Yes.
That's not even the discussion about the venue, how we're going to do invitations, who we're inviting, how many people we're inviting. That ain't getting the silverware, flowers, plates, food.
Like we ain't even got
colors,
there yet.
Like nothing. Weddings is so hard because it's not just a single decision. It's all these layered decisions that have also a price point attached to them that could affect the vision that you ultimately have for your relationship, for your family. So it is, I think it's a great opportunity to work through these things it's a great exercise because like I said, this is only the beginning. If you have kids, if you want to buy a house, like all these conversations are going to have that same feel to it because of how much is at stake when you're having these conversations. So I'm glad that, you know, you're in this space because it's normal.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? Brides.com confirmed that in an article that came out in February of this year. The name of the article was 8 Common Wedding Planning Fights All Couples Go Through. And it even tells you how to resolve them. But I just want to read the common fights, the common topics that people disagree on. Money, Dre just talked about.
That was number one for me.
Number one, family traditions, which that was kind of hinted to a bit in the real life scenario. Different opinions, just generally different opinions about things. Your future in-laws, that should not be a shocker. I know, you know, clearly I've never been married and never planned a wedding. But even my mom, when I talk about it, she's like, yeah, because I'm gonna want to invite people. I'm like, babe, this not your wedding. Like, what do you mean? Like, so that will probably come up. The guest list. Real love scenario. Clashing visions. You just talked about that. How you envision your wedding versus how Bree envisioned it. Planning duties, which, oh my gosh, who's doing what? You making these calls. I'm supposed to be making those calls. You can imagine. Oh, you didn't call? What do you mean? We're on a timeline. Timeline was the next one. was the last one. So very, very, very common that disagreements are going to come up in this process.
Let me ask you something, Rhonda.
Yeah.
This is something that I know a lot of men have dealt with when it came to them. A lot of my friends that are married dealt with this with their wives. And this is not just a marriage thing. This is I think a trait that women have.
Okay.
You may disagree, but I just want your insight because it might help some brothers out there, some people. And you probably have done this too in your relationships.
Okay.
Why do you come to us with two options as if they're both equally being considered? But then when you ask us our opinion and we choose what we think is a 50-50 choice that you both like, when we choose the wrong one, it's like, ugh, why that one? I'm like, I thought this was being considered, but I guess I chose the wrong one. And now you're making me feel like the thing that I thought was 50-50 wasn't even in consideration. And how dare I choose the wrong one?
Yeah.
Give me insight into that.
Damn, that's tough. It's tough when I have to answer for my ladies. For my fellow ladies. You know what? I don't know. Right? Like, that's just real. I don't know. I don't know. I have done that, but I don't remember the last time I did that. Okay. Because I do think it's like crazy. Like, just explain what you want and then hear him out about why the other option might make more sense to him. But let's not do the trick thing. Like, I'm hoping he picks the one that I really want. And then, like, so I don't have to convince him. Just like, here's why I really want option A. And like, I know you probably would want B, but let me just try to tell you why option A just makes more sense. I'm here about selling the benefits of the option that I want versus trying to trick you into choosing the option that I want.
That's a very common wedding experience. I always tell guys, I'm like, listen, man, it's a lose-lose. I feel like because your wife wants you to, a future wife wants you to be involved.
Yeah,
wants you to seem interested, but doesn't want you to contradict the things that she actually wants.
Yeah.
So it's like kind of like a,
Yep.
lose-lose situation. So you just gotta roll with the punches.
Yeah, I'm really only gonna give you two options if I'm absolutely okay with you choosing one of them, or I don't care. So no matter what you choose, I'm cool with it. Yeah. So stop doing that, girls. You all doing it. Just get to the meat of it quickly. And work through it.
Yeah.
Work through it. That's
all those things in the article are so true. Like all discussions that Bree and I had. And I think it's some people, depending on the person, they focus on one thing versus the other. Like I was more of a money person. I was like, every option you want, I need to know the cost of it. I don't want to just say which one looks better. My thing is determining the price because I don't really care.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with the cheaper one that makes sense in this moment. And I didn't understand like, weddings, like flowers and food, everything else
top
for
ticket
me,
items.
Like, of course you have venue and stuff that, but like all the other stuff, flowers, I didn't realize flowers cost so that much.
Yes, they do. Yes,
I learned that in weddings and unfortunately in funerals. Like if you got to buy, like, I'm like, goodness gracious.
And it's so crazy because at the end they're basically like, at least with the food, you put it in your body.
Yeah.
Like you enjoyed it while you were eating it, but the flowers, and I want a lot of flowers. I'm not even going to lie. That budget alone.
We did fake flowers.
No, and I get it because listen, some of the silk flowers are beautiful. And if you can also maybe incorporate them into some real ones, it works.
It depends on where it's going to be placed.
Yeah.
Because some decor, depending on what you're doing, the flowers aren't even located in a place to where somebody can touch it or really even see it. We did a lot of things to where we repurpose, so that's very popular. You use the flowers for the ceremony and then you restage them somewhere else for the reception or in the what you call the table thing, the centerpieces or something like that. Like we had those conversations. Guest lists, that's always going to be a big thing.
Like we totally understand how this is an issue.
God. Y'all do that, not even
for the birthday parties,
for a birthday trip, birthday
baby shower. Yeah,
trying to figure out who's sitting next to who. Like all of those things are just conversations that you have to have when it comes to this, and it's going to cause a discussion. That you guys are going to have, but it's just normal. So that's one thing I've learned too is that you always feel better. And I'm sure we all know this as adults, even as a man growing up through puberty. Like if you knew other people were experiencing the same thing, then it kind of eased you because you're like, oh, this is normal.
Very
this is
normal.
not like a
it's not unheard of.
Yeah, like
unheard a lot of
We're
people
not doing something
this.
rare and it's impossible to work through. It's like you'll find something that makes sense.
Yeah, so I hope you guys that are watching and listening, if you do want to get married or you're getting into that approach, understand these things, like, and just anticipate them. When you can anticipate what's going to happen, you can just better prepare for it, and also just ease down into it. Like, okay, I did hear on that episode that this is going to come up, so just be prepared to have to experience the conflict, which then leads us into how do you manage it once you get there? What is the art that is compromising and working through these conflicts? And again, I'm defaulting to Dre on so much of this because 1, he's the married one, and 2, he had a beautiful wedding.
Yes. Oh man, listen. I feel like I'm an expert on compromising at this point in my life. Mainly because I have a wonderful, amazing wife, but she is very anal about a lot of things, and especially anybody who knows her, aesthetics, like the way things look are like huge for her.
Yeah.
So there are so many things that I have to figure out and compromise on, find a way to meet in the middle or defer to her in order for things just to move forward and us to not get into this full-blown argument. So I have my own 4 things that I want to share with y'all of how to work through conflict and how to compromise with someone. And I wrote some of them down. So here we go. You ready for the first one?
I'm ready. I'm taking notes, mental notes.
First one is that you both are right. Most of the time you both are right. Like it's not a thing to where the person is wrong and you're right, or, they're right and you're wrong.
Yeah.
It's just a difference of opinion. Even in this situation, how you grew up, your family dynamic is different from theirs.
Yeah.
They're not necessarily wrong for feeling how they feel. Yeah. And if you explain like both of their points, I can see both sides of that, right? In this scenario.
Yeah.
But I feel like a lot of times we think that the way to get what we want when we're compromising is by persuading the other person to think how we think.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
And that's not the way to do it, because ultimately that puts one person on defense and puts one person like attacking the other person.
Yeah.
And you tell me, I mean, we all watch law shows and Law and Order, everything. True. Are the prosecutor and the defense ever on the same team?
No.
No.
Never.
They ain't working together.
No, they're not.
They ain't trying to figure out a great solution together. Nope. They're trying to defend their point and drive home whatever they're trying to drive home.
So
and
true.
Luckily in the legal system, at least you have a judge and a jury of your peers unbiasedly judging this. Yeah. And there has to be some type of solution after a certain amount of time. Yeah. In real life, it's just y'all too.
It's just y'all. No judge, no jury.
No judge, no jury. So if y'all are attacking each other, y'all ain't gonna never find a solution because you play on separate teams.
Yes.
So you gotta come together and say, forget about who's right or who's wrong. Let's focus on finding a solution that we both feel comfortable with.
Yes. And if I might add just one thing, your judge and jury metaphorically is the solution. It is like the end goal. That is your judge and jury.
Yes.
What are we trying to get to? Because yes, I'm on prosecution and yes, you're on defense. Our judge and jury is, what is the ultimate goal here? What's the ultimate goal? So I just wanted to add that.
Yeah. So that's number one thing I'll say. All right. Number 2 is that you have to honestly evaluate what you really want. And I say that because I've been in a situation, I know we've all been in a situation where we say we want something, but it may not be truly how we feel. So I've been in situations to where I would hunker down and anchor down on a point of that's opposition to Bree, because she told me no, right? So I don't really care, but because you told me I can't have it,
now I must
have it.
Yes.
Who are you to tell me I can't have it? Or I've been in a situation where I feel like you've been getting your way the last 5 times.
Yeah.
So now I'm gonna take a stand on this one. I don't really if I were to isolate it from everything, do I really care?
Right.
No.
Most of the time you don't.
But because I feel like I don't want you to play me. You getting over on me.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna hunker down on this.
Yep.
And be like, no, you can't have it.
Yeah.
And I had to realize when handling and compromising my relationship, like, yo, if you take this thing, you isolate it, like, you don't really care.
You don't.
You don't really care about it.
You want to win.
You just want to win.
Yes. Yes.
And you have to, and a lot of your problems will be solved and you'll have less arguments and you'll find it easier to compromise a lot of times when you just look at things and are just like, yeah, I don't really care.
I don't really
And I'm not
care.
associating my emotion to this at all. What do you think about that?
I agree, because sometimes you just don't need to. You ever meet a person that you feel like they have to say something about something. They have to make a comment. They have to have an opinion. They have to just insert, like, to me, that is that. Like, how can you ever just have peace of mind if you never just learn how to release things? Like, I need to reserve my energy for like things that really matter to me. If I make everything a really important issue for myself, I'll be arguing all the time. Yeah. I will ultimately, and y'all know I don't always love jumping to the whole idea of narcissism because that needs to be diagnosed truly, but it's a narcissistic trait because you feel like you are always right. You're always right. Like, no, you know what? I don't like this. You know what? I don't like that. You know what? I have a thing to say about that. It's like, damn, you care about, is anything you don't care about?
And the truth is that they probably don't. Like I said, it's just that emotion. And I learned that in relationships, rarely do you both feel the same amount of passion for the same thing. Typically, one person cares a little bit more than the other, right?
Yep.
And I've dealt with that in my relationship. Like, for instance, when Brie and I chose to go down to one car, we had to choose what car we were going to get. I wanted a Tesla. Her dream car is a Jeep Wrangler, 4-door, big wheels, lifted. And I looked and I was just like, I know that if we get the Jeep, although that's not the car I want, I'll find a way to make it work. Yeah. And Bree wouldn't hear from me about it at all. But if we got the Tesla, I would probably hear about it every day because it's just how she operates. Like, she doesn't like it, doesn't make her feel comfortable. That's not what she wanted. Hey, we're paying this amount of money to not even have what I want. So although I wanted the Tesla, I know she cares about it way more than I do.
Yes.
That's just me being honest.
Yes.
I'm not emotionally looking at it like, you're getting over on me, you're getting this, we're spending all this money, and you're getting what you want. No, I don't really care.
I don't really care.
It's a place to get from A to B to me. And then at some point, if your relationship is right, like, she sees that sacrifice. Yeah. And she's like, how can I would love to be able to return the favor to him in some type of way.
So true. Yeah. Like, when you put it in that prism of a courtroom, you wanted Tesla. She wanted Jeep. The ultimate goal was to reduce your expense. Okay. The ultimate goal was to reduce the expense by going down to one car. The idea is to get to that goal as quickly as possible. And that requires everybody to let go of some things, be super clear about what actually matters. Even when you think about the 2-car choices, the Wrangler is just a better choice financially. It just out of the 2 options, it's a better choice financially. So you and then, like you said, then you add on to that, do I really care? Like, I'm really just trying to get to point A to point B. And as a money man, I'm trying to save the money. I can just let this fight go and put my energy, store my energy for something I truly do care about. I have something that I will really argue down to the ground because it's a bigger and better vision than let's tussle about a Tesla versus a Jeep.
Exactly. And this is why this is my A1 day one partner right here, because she led into my next point, is that you have to determine what really matters. Like, that is one of the most important things in that in that space. Yep. Because a lot of times we in our mind formulate these things that don't really matter or give weight to things that we don't really care about. And it's a lot of times our emotion that's involved in that and why we do it. But and like, Brie and I rarely argue anymore. Yeah. And part of that is because, like, I had to go down and really figure out, like, what really matters. Like, what are the ultimate goals we're trying to achieve? And you start to realize that a lot of things that we care about don't really matter at
Especially
all.
Not long term. They matter in the short term.
In the short term. And one good great example of this is that I said Bree and I are family planning. Mm-hmm. Bree picked out names of the babies that she loves, and names are a big deal for your kids, right?
Yeah.
But when it comes to she feels passionately about the names that she chose. She likes them. I think they're cool. I don't want something like super ratchet or anything.
Yeah.
But I think they're cool. But I'm just like, okay, if that's what you want to do, because I realize the thing that matters to me is having a healthy baby.
That's it.
I don't care about anything else, like anything. And I've been talking to different friends. People have been sending me podcasts. Like I talked to one of my coworkers, and she sent me a podcast. You should check it out, called Fertility Ain't Fair. And it's her and her husband talking about her journey of conceiving and fertility. And they talk to different people who've had fertility issues. I don't care about the name. You know what I mean?
It's like literally, if you could just get the baby earthside safely and healthy, we could call the baby. Name the baby.
Girl, boy, I don't care.
Yeah.
But I know that somebody may argue down to a name and wanted like, I had to realize, and that's just one example in my relationship, what really matters. So even when the wedding conversation happens, it's just looking like, what do I really care about? I know that I'm going to be chill on my day, but I know Bree is going to be thinking about everything, like trying to figure out, like, and I know that this means a lot more. Not that our union doesn't mean the same to us, but this gathering, the way it looks, means just a lot more to her.
Yes.
I want her to be happy.
Yes. That's what actually matters
that's
more
what
to
matters
you.
to me.
Yes.
I want to make sure that our celebration of this union doesn't cripple us for what we're trying to achieve in the future. That's what matters to me.
Yeah.
All the other stuff, like, I'm just for what?
Yeah.
For what? For things I ultimately don't care about.
No,
no. So you have to be truthful in that. Thoughts on that?
I just wanted to say, like, in a to me, an easy way to rationalize like what really matters and what doesn't. When you think about the thing that you're maybe tussling about, let's say it's cake flavors, because that's something that comes up a lot on wedding days. Fast forward 25 years, 30 years, and you're talking about your marriage to someone, and someone's maybe even asking you, like, you know, what are some of the most significant things about being married to this person? Are you going to be talking about the flavor of your cake that you had on your wedding day? Probably not. You'll be talking about whether it was all 4 of my aunts that were there versus 2 of my aunts that were there. Probably not. These are things that just aren't going to come up when you're starting to have those conversations about your marriage. And I put emphasis on your marriage, because your wedding is one day that celebrates a lifetime that you're about to embark on. It's important. I would never say that what happens on your wedding day, how it all happens, what you both want, those things they're important, but they're important in the short term. They are not important in the long term. What truly matters is a happy, healthy union. And what does that truly look like? And how could the things that happen in this one day have an impact on that? Like, even down to what you just said about Bree, where yes, it mattered for her to be happy. And it mattered that you were able to give her that, but not financially cripple you in order to embark on your actual marriage. Even that is a yo-yo. Even that is a balance that you had to do, because hell, some of making her happy could have been giving her things that would financially cripple you in that moment. So even that, I'm over here compromising on the things that actually truly do matter. You're always going to be doing that in life. Life is all about this and that, yin and yang, which put a little bit here and you got to take a little bit away from there. It's always about that. So I would say use that rationale of, like, when I'm having a later conversation about this, or even just trying to recall it, like 20 years from now, I'm trying to recall what really mattered to me if my husband died. In this moment where I'm trying to say red velvet is gotta be the cake, will I care about that on that day? I won't.
You might honestly regret, if you lost them, that you pushed them so much on the thing that they actually wanted, when you like, that didn't even matter.
Didn't even matter.
I'm mad we spent a week not talking to each other about
a cake flavor. We lost time.
And we lost time.
Yes.
That didn't even matter.
Yes. So I think that's just a good little quick thing. Like, can I really just release this and let this go? How much does it really play a part into our marriage? Or am I just trying to be right and have what I want because I like red velvet cake? If you don't have red velvet cake at your wedding, they still sell it and they still make it, and you can get it after the wedding. Just so you know, in case you didn't know that, I'm here to help.
For sure. And I would say last thing, it just leads all into, for me, like this last little bit, because for me, it's all about perspective, right? Mm-hmm. I can tell you options of what you could do in a situation like this, but it's ultimately y'all getting to a point to where you can communicate and figure out what it looks like for you. It could look like a lot of different things. Mm-hmm. And the last thing for me is understanding what compromise is, because I think people have an idea of different ideas of what that means to them. Mm-hmm. Some people think it means meeting in the middle. Some people think it means you get this one fully what you want, and then the next time I get this
fully what I want. Yeah.
Fully what I want. Mm-hmm. Some people think hesitantly or not being hesitant and saying yes or no is a great compromise, but then you end up resenting somebody if you said something that you didn't mean, said yes and no. So I think it's important to understand that it could be all those things.
Yes.
Jeep, Tesla, there is no middle version of that.
Right.
There's no mashup.
A
Tesla. A Teep. Like there is no middle, right? I can't mash that together so we're both happy, right? But in that decision, in order for me to feel better about it, we had to figure out, all right, what's most important to you in the Tesla? Let's look at it. What's most important in that? Why do you want that?
Yeah.
Okay, you like having a car that has a little bit more technology and, has different features and all that. Why do you want the Jeep? I want to be able to open up the roof and have the area and feel close to nature. So the Jeep that we got is one that roof comes off, but it's automated. It's not one of the ones you have to take off manually. It has the button, rolls back itself, and it can roll back. This is more the updated one, heated seats, heated steering wheel, backup camera,
so you're incorporating some of the technology of the Tesla.
Into the Jeep.
So you got a Tesla.
Got a Tesla. And it served as the compromise, but sometimes it is 100% what Bree wanted. And just being like, okay, after evaluating it, it's not that big of a deal. We can go this way. And then I'm not expecting the next one to go my way too.
Right.
It's just, we look at every situation, we see what makes sense. We take in consideration the other person.
Yep.
And if we have the perspectives from the first three things that I'm talking about, not looking at them like they're wrong, not trying to attack them and persuade them to think that what you're doing is right and they're wrong. It's like, what we talked about, how do we find the solution to this? This is all we're doing, is solution oriented.
Yes, it.
Because at the end of the day, what you both should come to the relationship and any conflict that you're handling or discussing is like, I want you to have what you want.
Yeah.
Each person should say that. Like, I want you to have what you want, but I also want to have the things that I want too. What does it look like for us to be able to get some version of what we both want? And that's where we start the conversation.
That's it.
Not you wrong for how you these people.
Why would you want
all these people in the you don't even talk to them. Like you don't it's hard to understand being in a family to where you are the first.
Oh yes.
Right?
Yes.
And it's hard. You can't judge. I can tell you family members that I love down to depth. They will do anything for me that I don't talk to. So you can't judge how often I talk to them off of like,
that's true,
this person raised me or was here. Like it's you can't make that determination for somebody and their family. So you can't put that on them, in those situations.
Yeah.
So instead of trying to tell them they're wrong, it's like, how can we get both elements?
I agree, man. That you hit the nail on the head. You really, really, really are, because it's just having those honest conversations. And I loved it that she even said that, like, him not getting what he wants, it breaks my heart. I want what I want, but also the idea of like a person that I love so much, who I would really give them anything that they wanted if I could, that I'm now stuck between what we call a rock and a hard place, choosing what I want versus choosing what a person that I love more than anyone in this world, also what they want. And I think, you teetered into it a bit with like the family thing of like, a first, but also like there are just cultural customs to getting married. And even I know even I know that Mexican celebrations and traditionally, there are just certain things that come with that. And so even to me, I was like, well, how didn't you know that your Mexican husband was not going to need to have all of his family there? I would have known that from the moment I started dating.
125, a little light.
Yeah, I mean, ain't too crazy. Ain't too crazy.
Did you go to a wedding, like an African wedding that was like 3 events, 4 events?
500 guests. 100%. It was an all-day event. And I think I was really there for just
and you were exhausted as a guest.
As a guest. Yes. Like I can't imagine what they felt like, the actual bride and groom. But it was so many customs. It was and there is no way that thankfully both of them were African.
Yeah.
Because there was.
Could you imagine if it was?
Oh my God! There is no way. There is no compromise, baby. This is what we are doing. Yeah. This is what, and I loved it. Like culturally, I loved experiencing it. Mm-hmm. But 500 people as guests, plus customs, plus traditions, plus outfits. I don't even know what the budget was. I just know that it was a lot. It was a whole lot. So yes, you can't, if you decide to get with someone, you would be better off actually asking them up front, like before you even get there, like, so I know that you are, and what I do know about your culture is, are you traditional in that sense? Like, would you have that traditional experience?
Yeah.
They're going to be able to tell you like, nah, I know I am, but I don't even adopt those principles. I'm not into that. You should assume that they are based on their culture. Like if I married an African man, I would assume that we're going to be doing all the stuff.
And I think it's important to, and this is something that you had talked about earlier, but one thing that helped Bree and I in our relationship, and you may learn this a little bit later as you guys, grow in your marriage, is that it's important to communicate to your partner what the most important things to you are when it comes to decisions that you're making. Mm-hmm. So Bree knows to me, I'm like, money is important to me. Mm-hmm. We have a goal that we're trying to achieve.
Yeah.
If you ever come to me about something, just know that what the cost is going to be has to be included into whatever it is. Mm-hmm. So she knows now that like no matter what she's talking to me about, planning, doing something in the future, wants to get something, wants to go somewhere, wants to do something, she knows I'm going to frame it in the construct of how much it costs and how it hinders us, relates to whatever goals that we're trying to ultimately achieve that we agreed on for our relationship. Yep. And I know for her, Bree doesn't like color really. Bree likes a certain look and feel with things. So I know if I come to her that I have to make sure that this thing looks a certain way, or we understand each other. So the way that we communicate now is not as if we're communicating with this stranger or foreign person. I know my person. So now when I come to compromise with her, I already have the framework for how I need to put it together in order to get it. And we do this at work, right? Like I talk to my boss, like, hey, if you want to do something, I know that he's a revenue analytics driven person. So if I'm trying to get something from him, I have to frame it in a way of how it returns revenue back to the company to where some people are different. So you just have to understand who you're communicating with.
You got to understand your audience.
For sure. So I think, going into this, what do you think is some lasting advice for
Mrs. Groomzilla?
Mrs. Groomzilla.
I mean, I think
maybe some solutions possible. We could throw some out there of what she could possibly do to meet in the middle if this was like our thing, like how a compromise could work.
Yeah, I mean, I think her saying at the beginning, like, we fight, it's the only thing they fight about, and they fight about it. One, I want you to stop fighting about it, and I want you to talk about it. I want you to really talk about it. Like, really, once you do some of the things that Dre and I have already talked about, which aren't even specific to a guest list, this is just resolving conflict in general. Really think about, yes, I understand you have, just some fear of being the center of attention. Respectfully, newsflash, it's your wedding. It's your wedding. By design, you're going to be the center of attention, whether it's 25 people putting you at the center or 200 people putting you at the center. On that day, you will be the center of attention. And the only way to avoid that would to be just you and him go get married. Like, no one is there, so you don't have to feel like you're in front of anybody but him. So really sit down before you have the conversation and think about, if you, let's say it was 100 guests, how could you, what things could you put in place to feel better that day, to feel more comfortable that day? Are there some things you need to start practicing before wedding day? Like, do you need to maybe go to a random improv in your city? Something small, nothing too crazy, but just maybe you don't want to be a comedian at all. It's just a practice of like, if I get up on a stage and I like do things in front of people just to be silly, call it a date night. Maybe that'll get you into this practice of being in front of people. Maybe it's a fun dance class or a fitness class, a group big fitness class. Think step, think dance aerobics. These are big things. It's for your benefit. You're going to feel good, but you're also in a room with a bunch of people who are probably watching you. Maybe there's some exercises that you can do to prep yourself if, again, you're trying to give this person that you love so much some of what he wants while also protecting how you feel. Maybe there's just some things you can do before you get to that point. And just be willing to not win, like the win is the marriage. The win is you actually have a man to have a disagreement about who's going to be there on the wedding day. I, in my mind, am more like her, where I feel like the only people that should be there are the people who have been supportive, that will be supportive, and all of those things. But to Dre's point, there are people in his family that would do any and everything for him, but they just don't talk all the time. So you don't know, out of his 175 family members, you don't necessarily know that they wouldn't do that. You don't know that. That may just be something you'll learn once you marry him. So I think it's talking. It's actually talking about it after you really process, like, what does it look like for me to just say yes to what he wants? And what can I do on my side to make that happen for him? And also naturally just understand that some of this is a cultural experience. If you hadn't shared that piece of it, my advice might be different, but this is a cultural experience. And some of those things are very, very important to the fabric and the fiber of the person you're going to marry. I would hate for you to start teetering in the lines of like him having to interpret your choice as disrespect to his culture, as disrespect to his family traditions, right? You don't want that, because I know you respect his traditions and I know you respect his culture. That's important to have a long lasting marriage, because trust me, other things are going to come up.
Yeah.
Where his family's cultures and traditions are going to really matter, just as your families do. So that's my advice. Congratulations to you. Get down that aisle and figure out how to get down that aisle. Don't let this be the thing that just sends y'all into a tailspin.
For sure.
Yeah.
Everything Rhonda said, everything that we talked about before.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I would add is, first, I just want not even just you in this scenario, but people, when it comes to solving problems in your relationship, working through conflict, trying to figure out ways to compromise, is try to find joy in bringing your partner joy. Because a lot of times we always want our joy to come from getting what we want. But I love to see the smile on Bree's face when I do something and I know my sacrifice made her extremely happy.
Yeah.
And sometimes that is enough for me to compromise. Yeah. Right? It's not, I know I didn't get what I want, but seeing how happy it made her in this moment. Yeah. And just like, sometimes it's like, I know we all love it with a partner where you can just sit back and see them in their joy. Yeah. Like, it feels so good. Yeah. And I think that, we should work to build ourselves up to kind of step outside ourselves to be able to mentally put ourselves in a position to not see sacrifice as always this negative thing, but seeing it as a joyous thing, that I'm glad that I found somebody that I normally wouldn't want to do this, but I love them so much that I am willing to do this because I love them. And that makes me happy that I'm so blessed that I found somebody that I'll be willing to do this for. Yeah. Like, that's rare and I feel good about it. So I would encourage to find that. And then as far as like just things that you could do, people, do a smaller ceremony, larger reception. Yeah. That's one way. Some people have two separate ones. Even Bree and I, we got married abroad. So for us, we had to actually get married in the States first, technically, and then the ceremony was in the DR. So you could have a smaller ceremony that's more intimate with just, your family, your fiance, and that, and then you can have the big thing as well. It may, after you work through all the steps that we suggested, you may look and say like, I'm okay with the big wedding as well, because your family will still be there, right? It's not like his family's there and your family's not. So you still get your family there. But there's a lot of different ways that you can compromise, but it ultimately is going to come down to the conversation that you guys have. But it's making sure, as we said, bringing it back home, that you're in an environment to where you're actually having a conversation, not fighting, and where it's all solution oriented, both with the posture of you're not wrong. Let's just try to figure out a way to get what we both would like out of this, because it's a special day for all of us, and we want to make sure we look back at this, we feel really good about it. So that's the last advice there.
I love it. My favorite part is just like the joy of, like, find joy in having your partner's joy, giving your partner joy. That's the competition that y'all need to be into. Okay, compete for that. How much can I really make this person smile? Like, put the points on the board. Boom, I did it right there. Because I promise you that energy is cycles.
Yeah,
it's cycles. Reciprocal. It's the happy Olympics. What Lady London say? He gonna trick, but I'm gonna trick, but he gonna trick bigger. Let's just keep it going. Okay, let's just keep it going. Okay, I love that. I love that so much. Well, listen, I hope we were able to help you. Send us pictures and stuff. I want to know what happens. I love a good wedding update.
For sure.
Please keep us posted. And if you want to write into us, you know where to find us. And if you don't, it's relationshiprestored.com. Click that contact button and you can write into the show. Tell us your story. We want to help. And follow us on social media. I'm at Ronnie Cakes.
That's Dre Smith.
And at Relationship Restored. Check us out over on TikTok and Threads too. We popping in all the spaces.
For sure.
See you next time.
Peace.